Have you ever felt really terrible and it seemed like everything around you was making things more terrible? What about on the flip side? You felt great to the point that even bad things seemed insignificant. Thoughts fill our minds constantly, throughout each day and night. These thoughts eventually become attitudes and actions that form our lives. Many times we feel like every thought we think belongs there. But what if we could control our thoughts and in turn control our actions, which could make our lives better? Each of us want to live a happy and fulfilling life. By learning to control our thoughts and words, a better life becomes possible. Today I'd like to talk to you about first, the importance of our thoughts and words. Second, how we can better our lives by thinking about what we think and say. Third, I would like to give some real-life examples of how this method has improved lives. I'll begin by discussing how important our thoughts and words truly are. Anxiety and depression can be caused or worsened by dwelling on negative thoughts. Addictions, anger problems, self-esteem issues, etc. are dramatically affected by words and thoughts, which eventually become actions. Many of the problems we face can be resolved by changing the way we think and speak. The Bible says in Proverbs 18:21, the tongue has the power of life and death. That means we can literally speak life or death to ourselves and others. Where do our words come from? They come from our thoughts. How does this make you feel? You are stupid. You are ugly. You don't do anything right. You are worthless. You'll never amount to anything. Why do you even try? You'll never be good enough. It makes you feel horrible and defeated, right? How about this? You are made perfect and with purpose. You are beautiful. You are smart. You are doing great. You give your best and it's good enough. You are made for success. You have victory. You have what it takes. It makes you feel encouraged, right? Now let's come from a psychological standpoint. There is a term called priming. It is defined as activating particular associations in memory. It is said that priming one thought, even without awareness, can influence another thought or even an action. One experiment that proves this method is testing a group who completed sentences with words such as old, wise, and retired. The group that used the words primed with aging walked slower to the elevator than those who did not use terms associated with aging. Another example is students exposed to the smell of a cleaner were quickly able to identify words associated with cleaning and had more cleaning-related activities throughout their day. Watching scary movies alone can increase fear, and watching violence can increase expectation of aggression. But most interesting is depressed moods prime negative associations, but people in a good mood see even bad things more positively and have more hope for the future. So how can you control your thoughts and words? There's a verse in Proverbs 23:7 that says, "As a man thinks in his heart, so does he become." This verse essentially says that what we fill our hearts and minds with is eventually what will come out of our mouth and into our life. If we constantly watch movies and listen to music that encourage or try to add humor to violence, sexual promiscuity, and selfishness, eventually the things we watch will flow into our thoughts and actions. Have you ever seen a preteen or teenager read a beauty magazine and then begin to dress more seductively and criticize the way they look? I've seen and experienced this. It can cause self-esteem issues and in severe cases lead to life-threatening eating disorders. On the other side, if we recognize that what we fill our minds with will eventually come out in words and actions, and then guard what we watch and listen to, we can prevent a lot of issues. Remembering priming, consider this statistic. In a study released by the Parents Television Council, it was found that sexual exploitation of underage teenage girls is being posed as humorous in television shows. Joke topics included sexual violence, sexual harassment, sex trafficking, pornography, stripping, with pornography and stripping being the most common joke punchlines. And remember, this is underage girls. Humor is being used to make things that would generally be considered wrong okay. If someone can get us to laugh about it, they're more likely to get us to do it or at least accept it happening. The article goes on to talk about a girl who, from television, came to believe that her value was in sexual appeal and was later trafficked and exploited. Had she had someone to guard her from ingesting these lies, it could have saved her a lot of painful experiences. If we refuse to watch, read, listen, and talk about things that we don't want to become acceptable in our lives, and instead fill our minds with things of value, it can save us a lot of trouble as well. Not every thought we think needs to be entertained. So many thoughts come into our mind all day. Some are good and some are bad. If we learn to recognize our thoughts and choose which ones are helpful and which ones are harmful, keeping and discarding accordingly, we can live a more positive life. Joyce Meyer says in her podcast, Power Thoughts, that our actions are a result of our thoughts and our emotions follow our words. As I listened to this, I looked down at the Dunkin' Donuts coffee in my hand that I'd been thinking about all morning and saw how true this statement really is. She also goes on to state in her book, Battlefield of the Mind, that if we have a negative mind, we'll have a negative life. We need to think about what we are thinking about. When we recognize a negative thought or lie, we need to discard it by deciding not to think about it and replacing it with a positive thought and truth. Now I'm sure you can see the importance of guarding our thoughts and words so we can have a better life. I'd like to give you some examples of how this method has helped in real life. Guarding and choosing our thoughts and words can be challenging, but little by little we will notice a big difference and our lives will begin to improve. This method has affected my life in many ways, but I'll discuss some aspects specifically. For a very long time, I thought I wasn't beautiful or good enough. Not recognizing that these lies were playing over and over in my mind, this destructive thought pattern continued. The only way I was able to overcome this struggle was by replacing the lies with truth. So I had to intentionally recognize that I was thinking a negative thought. So I then looked up Bible verses and began to replace those lies with truth about my real value and beauty. It took a long time, but eventually those lies began to fade. And not only did I see my value and beauty, but I also saw the value of beauty of those around me and was able to encourage them and give them confidence. Stormy O'Martian, author of The Power of a Praying Woman, and Joyce Meyer both have stories of how they overcame depression by renewing their minds. They both prayed, intentionally recognized the lies and negative thoughts in their mind, and replaced those lies with truth and positive thinking, as well as constructive actions. It is encouraging to see that two women with a painful past overcame depression and learned how to live a life full of joy. Hopefully now you can see the importance of guarding your thoughts and how improving your life by choosing positive thoughts can be possible for anyone. I've told you about the importance of our thoughts and words and how to improve our lives by choosing to think positively and discard lies. Some real-life examples have shown this method can help anyone live a more fulfilling life. Each of us face struggles in our life that start with thoughts and words. By following the principles discussed, we can gain control over our thoughts and actions, which can improve or free us from many issues faced in life. Please know that though this principle seems fairly simple, it does take time. Be patient and celebrate each victory. Eventually, you'll look back and be able to share a story of success that helps others as well. I hope this encourages you to think about what you're thinking about and brings more joy to your life.